This month, Streaming Things is brought to you by our super Patreon supporters, Chester Copperpot, Jade, Jillian Morgan, Aaron Layton, Andrew Gray, Casey McCain, Crystal Trujillo, Jen Robinson, John Collins, Kalisha Reeves, Kate, Kiki Newton, and Will Nash.
Kick.
Welcome back. My name is Chris.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, covering the Rings of Power. We are one podcast to rule them all.
And in the RSS feeds, bind them.
We are talking about episode 5 of the Rings of Power tonight, titled Partings.
Parting is such a sweet sorrow.
It is. Mm-hmm. It could have been called Fartings.
And not as sweet.
No.
More of a sour sorrow.
Just depends upon what one has eaten.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Nothing
true.
worse than an orc fart. We're gonna do overall thoughts on this episode before we delve into a play-by-play. That's what we do here on Streaming Things. We just watched the episode and then hopped straight onto the microphones. Metaphorically, It would break them if we hopped upon them literally.
No, don't do that. I spent too much time setting this up.
I want to thank everyone who has been reviewing the show on iTunes specifically, because Spotify doesn't leave a way to like type out a word review, right? It's just the stars only maneuver. By the way, we got an email, and if you read it, Steve, where someone was saying, hey, I've been trying to rate the show on Spotify 5 stars. It won't let me do that. But if I rate it less than 5 stars, it will. Just thought you guys should know, thought it was weird. I'm not going to do that. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that sounds terrible if it is.
Very suspect. Let us know, guys, if you have come across a similar thing.
Yes, but on iTunes, it's working swimmingly. We appreciate all the reviews, helps bump us up in the feeds. A lot of other Hot D and Rings of Power, T-Rop, if you will, podcasts out there. We were kind of a big deal with Stranger Things, you know, but we still got our little family. There's dozens of us.
Dozens?
There are dozens of us on the Discord, and that is quite fun. We got to see a bunch of pictures of our patrons, alliteration not intended, wearing our Streaming Things merch. They were posting selfies in the Discord. And just shout out to those folks, because that was a very pleasant way to spend a few minutes of my evening. It made me very, very, I ran into my wife and showed her like, look, there's people wearing pictures of my podcast on their bodies.
That's a weird way to describe that.
But accurate.
They're wearing pictures of my podcast on their bodies.
I can't wait for the first Streaming Things tattoo.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Somebody out there is going to have Streaming Things on their butt cheeks.
Yeah, if you get one on your bicep, don't even bother writing in. We're all about the butt cheeks.
Don't even bother writing in. Somebody's going to clip that. Steve, quote, we're all about them butt cheeks.
And, you know, it's not...
No treble.
You can take that out of context. It would still be true.
That's right, baby. So moving on. We did just finish episode 5 of The Rings of Power. It took 73 minutes and some change. And
it's the longest episode so far, I think.
I think so. They're all pretty long, though. Mm-hmm. All said. Steve, what did you think of episode 5? Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry, Steve. Andy's still not here. You may have noticed. He's still dealing with personal things. He's still quite a valued member of Streaming Things. Just to let y'all know.
We value him very much.
Yeah. I meant that to be an endearing thing.
It sounded like, don't worry, we haven't fired him yet.
I would be like worried it would offend him, but he doesn't listen.
Andy, I'm begging you to listen to the show.
He'll never know.
You'll never know.
Okay, Andy.
Well, for Rings of Power, this episode, I thought it was good.
Yeah, that is all the time we have right now.
No, this is definitely one of those like transitional episodes, which is weird. We did kind of talk off air. As soon as the episode ended, you were like, that is a great ending to an episode if it was episode 3. And I kind of agree. We're like, last week we were talking about how much we loved last week's episode. And I feel like this week ends the same exact way. Like last week, they're like, we're going to Middle Earth to save it.
Yeah.
Yay. And then this episode ends by them going, we're getting there. We're finally leaving to save Middle Earth. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Which, you know, in the context of this episode, you're like, yeah, but it's a lot more like, well, yeah, like,
right.
we know, which was interesting. But there was a lot of stuff to enjoy. This definitely isn't like how episode 3 was, because we did not like episode 3 that much. But this definitely was like a transitional episode setting up for, I think, what will be, I have a feeling that next episode is going to be really, really good. And this was just kind of laying the foundations and the groundwork to get to that story beat. But it was a good time overall.
I don't like that Prince Durin is like 30 characters down on IMDb. Because
right?
Owen Arthur is carrying this show.
Yes.
I love him so much.
Any scene he and Elrond were in this episode was
Yes.
like, that.
Yes.
I want that show.
I'm having a great time with Rings of Power. I want to say that up front. I just think that some of the detractors of House of the Dragon have stated that they think the plot's moving too quickly. I disagree wholeheartedly, but that's neither here nor there. If the opposite is true of the Rings of Power, it's not slow in the way that sounds like, oh, I'm so bored. It's just looking at it logically, the pace of the show should be moving a tad faster. Like I said at the end of this episode to Steve, I was like, if this had been the end of episode 3, you know, hour and 10-minute episodes, and they were heading to Middle Earth, like, I don't know what I would have cut out, but there's a lot of languishing and the gorgeous scenery. I mean, the show is immaculate. The detail and the costume and the production design is phenomenal. I'm not going to argue that, but I think that there's been some, like I said, some style over substance comments, in my opinion. Like if they were just moving a little bit brisker, like just keeping the conflict elevated, like at this point, because it's week to week, if I could binge this, I wouldn't have cared, right?
Right.
I would have pressed play on episode 6 and been like, ooh, we're still going to Middle Earth. Fuck yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
But because it's week to week, I'm like, no, we still don't kill any orcs. That's a bummer.
What are you waiting for? I don't know. Something amazing, I guess.
Exactly. I'd still demand more Galadriel warrior action.
I mean, it's true because we're over halfway through this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's an 8-episode
season. There are 3 more episodes left.
Yes.
We're getting there.
It just worries me that we're going to end at a point that I'm going to be really mad. I'm going to wait 2 years.
Right. But it's also worrying that when this episode ends, we're not that far off. A lot of the character arcs aren't far off from where they were 2 episodes ago. Like,
sure.
I feel like there hasn't really been a lot progressing the plot forward.
There's a lot of great characters here. The production design's wonderful. The characters are great. The dialogue that we have is wonderful.
Yeah.
All of that's good. I just wish I could see the characters interact with each other more. But there's so many, we don't spend very much time with them. They're all so far spread apart. And the reason we love Prince Durin and Elrond so much is because we get to see them interact. We get to see their idiosyncratic characterizations bounce off one another. We don't get enough of that from other folks. These little snippets, like one of our main characters doesn't even speak English. And so Nori has to try to teach him. And then that's the interaction we get there. Galadriel has always been stern and upset. And then Halbrand, fun. But like, I wish I could speed up their relationship a bit. Everything I want to be sped up a little bit, you know? So that's just my take. And I think that's a lot of people out there are unable to articulate that. I think that that's their problem, because everything about this show is great. It's just needs to be a little bit edited down.
Yeah, with Halbrand and all them specifically, you could have easily made the ending of this episode the ending of last episode very easily. You could have had the whole like, will you take up your righteous cause to lead your people again? He could have had that character moment last week's episode, and we actually could have gotten them off of Numenor and driven the plot forward. Yeah, because there,
Queen Muriel already was hesitant to go to Middle Earth. She was already, that was the whole plot of episode 4. And then she kind of backslid on that. Like, maybe we shouldn't go. And then they redid that whole thing.
They redid that entire plot line.
Yeah. So
and I feel like the only reason they did that was to make Kemen a terrorist. Like,
yes,
they created this character and needed him to do something. So they did this thing where he tries to blow up the boats, and somehow that gets Isildur a spot on the boats, which, like, again, like I feel like there's a lot of pulling teeth with this Numenor plot line, and I don't quite that's why when we're there for so long. I'm like, I don't care. Like I care about Galadriel. I care about Halbrand. Like that's all fine.
AKA Sauron.
But every time the queen's like, should we go to war? It's like, yes, just fucking go.
Yes, you should.
You're going to go.
It's evil.
It's bad. And why do you all hate elves? God damn.
Yeah, they're super cool. Nice folk.
Isildur, like, I want to go west. And then the next episode, fuck that. I don't want to go west no more.
And even his dad, everyone is fed up with his shit. I thought you were going west, bro. What are you even doing?
Yeah,
I feel like you're going to find the one ring that doesn't exist yet, and you're just going to try to fucking keep it. That's how big of a douchebag you are.
Right.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Like my favorite parts of this episode were everything with Durin and Elrond, and then even the stuff with Nori and the Stranger. Like this was the episode that I think, and this is a positive, I think this episode finally turned around on where they're going with the Stranger. Like they altered how they presented him slightly. And, you know, he's learning words. You can see him kind of understanding what's happening around him. He's not fully, but he's grasping the basic tenets of what it is to function in this world. Sort of. And that makes him a lot more empathetic. And I really like how he's kind of found his place in the family, in Nori's family.
Yeah, he's just a big magic goober in the back.
Yeah. And I think that,
but he has a little bit of a backslide in this episode as well.
He does, but the beginning part, I was like, oh, they finally figured out what to do here. This is good. Yeah. I like this direction they're making.
I agree.
And then they introduced a new an antagonist, I assume, and so which was also kind of weird. Like, oh, we're adding more antagonists 3 episodes before the end of the season. I'm okay. Sure. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into it because that's where the episode starts, is with the English lesson between Nori and the Stranger. She's teaching him some words. I feel like he has very few reference points for the words. And I was kind of cracking up. He knows the word snails because he fucking loves them and he crunches on their shells.
Hell yeah.
He's like, snails. And then they have a kind of a chuck. She's like, yeah, snails. They chuckle about that. But then she said something about peril. And he's like, peril? What's peril, precious? What's taters? And she's like, peril, you know, like scary, like they kill. And he's like, kill?
Makes things dead.
And I wanted him to be like, dead? Yeah. Because like, what reference point does he have? And when does this stop? But he does understand that. And there's this cute moment where he's like, I'm peril. She's like, no, you're not peril. You're cool, man.
You're cool, man. You just killed those fireflies. It's all good.
He's like, yeah, fireflies I killed. And she's like, yeah, you did that. But that was an accident. That's manslaughter at worst. It's a whole different thing.
Also, they're bugs. Who
and he's
cares?
like, manslaughter? Yeah, and they're bugs.
Yeah. I do like how we get a little bit of a breakdown of what the Harfoot sort of migration patterns are. Like,
yeah, they're going to the Grove, right?
Yeah. From this point of the year, we're in the Northfield Glen, and then now we're going to head to the Grove, and the Grove is popping.
It's got hella fruits and veggies.
We got hella apples. We got plums.
Apricots.
They even got an apricot in there.
Carrots.
Yeah. And
lots of vitamin C. No, vitamin A in carrots.
I don't know.
Carrots are good. I dip them in ranch. It's a Harfoot delicacy.
Now, when you dip a carrot in ranch, does that kind of negate the health factor of the carrots?
No. No.
Oh, okay.
Still filled with the vitamins. Just now it's delicious. Got to stay warm.
Yeah.
With the ranch.
I do like Nori's little. We got another little anecdote or little turns of phrase where she's like, all right, quick sticks.
It's kind of an idiom.
Yeah. It was like a rattle your dags.
It's like a rattle your dags, but it's a little less, shit metaphor-y.
Quick sticks. And we get, I really appreciated the scene where the family's kind of getting their cart together. Poppy, sing us one of your songs. And Poppy starts singing.
Poppy pops the fuck off.
Yeah, she does. She goes off. She sings a beautiful song. And this is where I was kind of enjoying. I was sitting back, like this feels like a Lord of the Rings.
Fellowship-y.
This
Yeah.
is a fellowship moment.
I think the song's called This Wandering Day. I'm not sure about that. But we get a nice montage along with the song. Either that or she was singing it for 96 miles. And every time she stopped, they were like, again,
Poppy.
Your whole family's dead. You want to be next? You keep singing. Because their fucking Harfoots are mean, we found out.
Stop singing, we're going to break your goddamn leg.
Back of the line, Poppy, or sing. Harfoots are mean. Anywho.
They are mean. Later on this episode, at one point, Mav was like, let's just leave them behind.
I told you, they're lagging behind way too far. Take their wheels.
Cut them off.
Which is a line that was in Fast and Furious 2, I believe. Take their wheels and leave them.
This is about family, Malva.
We cut back to the Stranger hole, which I don't like calling it that, but that's what it is.
Oh, I honestly don't know what you're referring to here.
Where the stranger landed when there was the meteor man.
Oh, okay.
The stranger hole. Or it's more of a stranger divot.
I don't know. Like, yeah, a stranger. I wouldn't call that a hole.
For many reasons, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but
I
you're
did.
like, hey, we're going to talk about the stranger's hole.
Are we?
Do we have to?
Yes, we do. And it's kind of strange because who the fuck are these guys? They're it's the guy that everybody thought was Sauron in the trailer because they were mad because he looks like Eminem. And he's like looking for mom's spaghetti. This is his one shot.
Yeah.
One ring, one shot to blow.
One ring, one shot, can't blow it.
And they've all got staffs. They look magic-y. Who are these guys?
I don't know. They look like they...
Do you have a theory?
Well, I have a theory that on weekends they manage a hot topic.
Okay.
Based off the eyeliner alone.
Sure.
But I honestly have no theory because I'm when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I am the weakest of the three of us.
You are the weakest link.
I'm merely a Lord of Kisses. So I cannot say I cannot even hazard a guess.
That's a joke for only people that listen to our Hot D coverage as well.
Oh, it's and who follow me on Twitter.
And you've been saying it everywhere. Yeah. Anybody who's met Steve gets that joke.
Well, everyone knows that I am the Lord of Kisses.
And the dick and balls of streaming things.
Yes.
Which, if you combine those two things, a little weird.
By the end in several years, when this podcast is coming to a close, I will have the same amount of titles as like the king of Westeros.
This podcast will never end.
That's true. It won't. Long may it rain.
Unless Steve gets really tired. Then we cut to Adar. And he's out in the sun, basking in its glory, because though he is evil, he is also clearly an elf, and he can walk in the sun. He's a day walker, and the orcs he's like covered in a cowl next to him, like, I love you, master, but I don't like the sun. And for some reason, Adar's like, stick your arm out in the sun, bitch. And he's like, okay. And he just like burns him for a good 70 seconds or so. And he's like, yeah.
How's it feel? Like fire, my lord.
Yeah, it's really painful.
It really hurts.
I don't like it.
Well, let me tell you how great it feels for me. I really wish you could feel it the way I do, but...
you ever been to Maui?
God, it smells
No,
good.
my lord. Can't afford the tickets.
I don't have sunscreen, my lord. I'm so sorry.
Can't stand coconuts.
You smell like bacon.
So basically, and he says, I'm going to miss this or whatever. Like, essentially, if his plan comes to fruition, there will be no sun. And then, he's hunkering in the darkness with the rest of them. It's not good. That's all we know. And then he's like, call the legions and wrap up that stinky arm. Nobody wants to see that. That's gross. Blur Black.
And then Blur Black runs away like, oh.
Yeah, he goes to get some, what's that stuff you put on sunburns? It's green goo. Not avocado. Come on, Steve. Come on. It's
Avioli.
Ooh, not avioli. No. That's almost an Italian snack.
Oh, shit.
Come on, man. It's a root.
Why are you saying come on, man, to me? Like, I don't go outside. When would I ever need to apply this to my never burnt skin?
Sunburn green goo. I'm going to put that in the Google right now.
What's it come up with?
It just says green goo official site. Oh, my God. Solar goo sunscreen. That's not what I wanted. Aloe vera. Woo! We were going to get there eventually.
I can't wait for the plethora of emails that come in for that.
Nah, we got there. We cut to Bronwyn, and she's trying to provide a rousing speech, a call to arms to all of the people of Ostirith at the tower there, and they're not having it. Well, at first they are. They're like, yes, I'll fight.
Like, I will fight.
I will take the ring to Mordor. And they're like, what? And
Waldreg's like, have you guys heard about this fella named Hitler?
Yeah.
He had a couple good ideas back in the day.
Waldreg is such a bitch. He comes in like, wait a second. One thing our ancestors did is fight for the evil. But another thing they did is live, which is not true. They lost.
Have you looked around your town? There's maybe 50 of you.
They've been under elf occupation for generations since that decision.
Well, maybe he was referring like, say what you will about our ancestors, but when they rolled with Morgoth, brother, they lived. They were having fun. They were partying. They were not want for anything.
We snorted alpharin seeds morning, noon, and night.
Oh, dang. Alfred seeds all day.
We had a plethora
On lock. And we know
jerks.
Waldrag, he's a bar owner, so he's like,
He likes to party.
like I want to open a club. We'll call it Orc Fetiche, and it will be the bomb.
And they will have a French orc maid clean the bar after hours.
It's me, the French orc. What would you like to drink? Let me wipe down the bar.
And that'll be Waldrig's place.
Would you like a Bud Light?
And they'll serve cream fraiche.
Oh, we have very much creme fraiche. French orc.
And Waldrig managed to take half of the people away with him immediately. Like all the ones that just said they would fight are like, actually, never mind. I feel like that's a decent idea too. I don't know what to do. My cousin's leaving. I'm leaving too.
Yeah, they really just...
Including Rowan, the cowardly looter that was with Theo in the last
Yeah,
episode.
this kid's fucking afraid of the overcast sun. And he's like, I guess I'll take my chances with the devil.
I'm going to bow to the orcs. Waldrig seems like he's got his shit together. I mean, he looks really healthy. He had a successful bar. We should let him lead. He said no one.
He's the only one in this town that owns a business.
Yeah.
He's got his head on correctly.
And we cut to Elendil and Isildur's trying to say that he wants on the crew to go fight in Middle Earth. And Elendil's like, definitely not. You didn't want on the Seaguard crew when we were doing lame stuff. Now you can't come do cool stuff with us. That's the rule, which is basically what's going on.
I love the line he says where he's like, you have been feigning fidelity to the traditions of this isle, whereas those men and women have been doing it all along.
Yeah, so he gets accused of nepotism a lot, but in fact, Elendil's pretty fair as far as his son's concerned, you know, and including in this scene and in a later scene as well.
Yeah, he tells him to kick rocks. I thought you wanted to go west, bitch.
Yeah, go west then.
Yeah.
And we cut to Arendil, his sister, who is petitioning Kemen, the son of Pharazon, the consul, stay with me, to forsake Galadriel and the Queen Regent's plan to go to Middle Earth. Shit, for some reason that I couldn't gather, Arendil is very against this, probably just for the safety of her father and potentially brother and boyfriend.
Yeah, she just probably doesn't want people to go to war.
Maybe she's just anti-war, which I get.
Yeah.
I respect that.
I totally get that.
She's a conscientious objector to the war in Middle Earth.
And she has struck up a relationship with Kemen and...
Who is kind of a douche and a wee bit of a terrorist.
Just a wee bit.
But, you know, he was radicalized by her.
I don't know about that. Maybe he's just I would say he's more radicalized by his father than anything.
I don't know. His father didn't want him to burn no boats.
He didn't, but he sees in that moment that his father is not thinking for the best of the realm. He's thinking more for the
His
point
father
of the
feels
realm.
like he is.
Oh, for sure. But he's thinking it like in the terms of like think of all the money this is going to bring.
Hella money.
We're going to be so rich. I'm going to be able to afford all the beard oil so I can maintain this beauty.
It's coiffed.
That beard has lived more lives
Than an elf.
I'll ever have lived.
Yes.
I'm just saying that thing can birth the beautiful children.
A little anti-canon, that beard, because in the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien, dwarves had beards, and that's it, pretty much.
Oh, it was dwarves had the copyright on beards.
One of his letters, I was reading it, is boring, but it said something about beards, and not many people have them.
When you say letters, what do you mean by this?
Literal letters. They were published posthumously, and he just kind of went on and on about little details of his world that didn't make it into books.
Who is he writing these letters to? Is he like, my dearest cousin Cynthia, let me tell you about my thoughts on dwarven beards.
I think it was...
I know you've asked me to come over to the family Christmas for the last several decades, and I have not come. And I'm here to tell you I'm still not. But dwarven beards.
I think it's more of a to whom it may concern situation.
Letter to the editor.
Yeah, just in general. To whom it may concern.
The editor
Dwarven beards.
The editor of the Washington Post is like, why does he keep sending this
guy,
shit to me?
Crackpot. And we cut back to Halbrand forging away. No indication he might be Sauron with his forging skills. And he makes a really dope sword. And so that's where it comes out that he betrayed Galadriel. He snitched on her, which is why they were waiting for her in the king's tower. And he did that in return for a guild crest, the forging guild crest, because that's it. Supposedly his aim is to just stay in Numenor forever and just make swords and be left alone.
He likes forging things.
And I'm more inclined to believe him nowadays. Are you still thinking that he's Sauron?
thinking he's Sauron. Chris, I don't know if you know this, but
if he's not, I've been deceived because I don't think he is.
Is Sauron.
I don't think he is. I think that would be a really compelling
that sword he made
that they didn't go for.
That sword he made?
Yeah.
When he presented it
it's really sharp.
When he presented it to the guild master or whatever that
He's
guy
the sword looker guy. That's his
there was
title.
some elven script on the side of it as if it was a secret only fire could tell.
You think so?
I'm just saying.
It's quite cool.
I mean, did you see the guild master?
Touched it immediately.
He literally was like, "This is pretty dope. This is quite cool.
Quite cool. This is quite cool."
Full disclosure, I kind of agree with you. I don't know if they're necessarily. I think they're steering away from the Halbrand as Sauron, but I'm going to double down on it for the sake of comedy.
Okay, that's fair. That's what we do here on Streaming Things. And we cut to no. That's it. We don't cut yet. We don't cut yet. And she said, "Hey, don't be a little bitch about it. We're going to crown you. We're going to make you a king in your homeland."
King me.
And he said, "Find another head to crown." So he's still playing coy with his willingness to return to Middle Earth, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we're going with. And this time we cut to the Harfoots. And they find Chekhov's wolves.
Wolves.
Yeah. Wolves. There's footprints, damn it. And it's similar to the wolf that we had in episode 1. And they run to go tell Malva, but Malva's already talking shit about just letting them die.
Yeah, she's like, sorry.
Trying to tell Sadok.
Let him fucking die.
Sadok.
Fucking Malva, man. She's the real villain in this show.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm not so sure about that." And then she goes to pick some shrooms because she likes tripping balls on the trail, as it were. Who doesn't? Yeah. And that's when the wolf chase begins. And they get stuck in a tree. 3 wolves approach the Harfoots. It's Malva. It's Poppy. It's Nori. It's not looking good. Nori's trying to get a stick to break. She can't even break that stick. I don't know what she's going to do once she breaks the stick. It doesn't matter because she can't. And then, who is Gandalf for sure, jumps in. And he's like, "You shall not pass." And that's
he
totally what he
high-fives
does.
the dirt.
He does. But he bruises his little handy doing that.
Yeah, do you think it was just like the power kind of degrading or corrupting his arm?
Yeah, I don't know if it's because he's almost certainly one of the 5 wizards that we know about. By the way, I don't think we noticed this, but some canny watchers of the show, I was doing some research, have noticed that in the first episode or whenever that happens and you see the meteor fall, multiple people look at the meteor and it's a theory that it is not the same meteor. It is all 5 of the wizards coming to the earth, which I like that idea.
Interesting.
And that it's kind of different time periods, that it's people looking up, not just different places on the earth at the same moment.
That would make sense that all these things are happening at different time frames, because I was wondering, like, if you...
Yeah, Numenor is going to be really late to this party.
Yeah, if you think that... If you follow the logic that Numenor is going to come and save Bronwyn and the people at the tower.
Spoiler alert, that's what we think.
Then you would assume, like, well, this has to be taking place at alternate timelines because it would take Numenor presumably a month to
They're
get
all
there.
just dead when they get there.
Oh, shit.
We actually shouldn't have deliberated upon this journey so much.
Maybe and Gladder's like, I told you hours are at stake.
Well, the sea is always right.
God damn it, it's not.
It was wrong this time. So he does the "you shall not pass" move, pushes the wolves away magically, and they're like, "Yay, wizard!" And then is that some fireworks, Steve?
I think those are fireworks.
They love Rings of Power.
Oh my lord!
And we cut to Antimo, one of the friends of Isildur that got kicked off the Seaguard excursion, I think, because of his antics, sparring with his friend Valentil. Isn't his friend Valentil that's fighting with him?
What's the other one's name?
It's Antimo and Valentil.
Antimo is the redhead.
Right, but they're fighting one another, I think, as Elendil and Galadriel look on, and she's like, they're doing great, but they've never fought actual orcs. And he's like, maybe they should fight an elf. And she's like, "Come at me, bro," which is an actual line, except no bro. And then she fights like 12 of them, and she bests them easily, but they make the caveat that if anybody manages to cut her, score her skin or something, he says, then he'll promote him on the spot. So everybody's trying to cut her, which is really dangerous. They had actually no knowledge that she could actually fight when he challenged her with this.
Yeah, we were joking, like, how do they know that she's good? Like, what if she's like, I challenge you. Oh, I'm stabbed and dying.
And they're like, ooh, the queen's going to be really mad.
First guy that stepped up as a lieutenant now.
We killed the elf. That's awkward. I think this is a hate crime in Numenor because it's awkward here.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so she is a great fighter and she bests them all. There's even a point where she spanks one of them
with a sword.
And I accidentally bit my lip.
That do it for you?
I was like, "Spank me, Galaddy."
Oh, man.
You don't like that?
Are you worshiping Galati?
I think Morvith Clark is hot.
Yeah.
I think she's hot. And I think she looks a lot like my wife. And I think that may be why.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like hot. It's like my wife in armor, which I've never seen. But now I feel like I have.
Now you can, yeah. You're going to go home and tell Chris like, hey, honey, so
I got an idea.
I spent a lot of money at Renfest. Hear me out.
She actually really wants to go to Renfest, and now I want her to.
Did you not want to go to Renfest before?
I don't like going outside, but I love Ren fairs. So it's like a whole double whammy.
I've never been to Renfest.
There's like, old timey stuff.
I want to eat a turkey leg.
I'll get you one, buddy. Let's go together next time.
Let's do it.
All right.
I would love to go with you.
You're creeping up there with Galati. Is that a thing?
I don't know if I like Galati. It kind of sounds, it's too close to Laddie from Lost Boys. Laddie.
Okay.
Galati.
That's fair. And we cut to Kemen talking to Farazan, basically about treason. Like, hey, why don't we back off here? I did like this scene because we get to see the consul, Farazan's true influence and power in this city, because he just kind of looks at each person in turn and nods, and they fuck off of their own like little sitting area tavern thing.
People love Farazan.
They
Numenor.
fuck with Farazan heavy with a PH.
And I love this scene too, because last episode we were kind of like, why is Farazan kind of going with this plan? You'd think he seemed like an ambitious guy.
I did say that.
Wanting to usurp the queen. And so this scene really kind of puts into context like, oh, he is power hungry, but he's smart enough to realize like, oh, if we succeed in this.
And his son's on the same page. He's like, why don't you have more influence than the queen? Why don't you, Yeah, the
people love you, man.
Screw her over.
But
he says it real subtly, like, use your influence. And his dad's like, son, I have not trained you in being a fuckboy well enough. I have an even deeper plan. And we cut to Tal Palantir, which is, I don't understand why his name's so close to the mythical ball name.
Because he has a Palantir.
I guess. But that's his name as well.
Yeah. Maybe it's like,
I have a Honda, but I'm not Tal Honda. I'm Chris.
Maybe he's Tal of House Palantir because they own the Palantir.
The one?
And that's how he became king, is because he had the power of the Palantir.
We could Google this, but we're just going to keep surmising lore. I like this plan.
I like workshop and shit.
That's when people tune in, just to watch us try to work this out.
Who wants to watch us struggle? Tune in.
Yeah. And she's Queen Regent Muriel is telling her father, the king, who's got like Alzheimer's, hey, we're restoring our relationship with the elves. You're going to be so happy. I'm going to go to Middle Earth. And he's like, don't go to Middle Earth. It's fucking crazy there. And she's like, what? I'm already kind of set a whole plan in motion. Everybody's really excited. We're definitely going.
But there's like orcs and shit.
It's crazy.
There's trolls. Other sorts of malcontents. Goblins. Wolves. Balrogs, don't go there. Why would you go there?
And she's like, awkward, we're going. And we cut to the stranger. He's looking at the bruise on his hand. His entire arm is effed up from doing the little bit of magic that he did. And again, I don't know if this is evidence that he's still some sort of malevolent creature and doesn't know it yet, like when he killed the fireflies, which is why the magic's doing that kind of thing to him. Or if it's just evidence that he doesn't quite know how to utilize his own skills yet, which is why he allowed it to hurt him. Or maybe it's because he didn't have a staff and the staff channels the power, which is why they always carry one.
Yeah.
Holy, did I just figure that out?
Maybe. I don't know.
He needs a stick.
I just like that even wizards, whenever they get hurt, they have to run it under a cold tap.
That's what everybody does.
They're just like, ice it up, buddy.
Mm-hmm. And Nori brings him some stuff to heal his arm, some like, little Harfoot herbs, if you will. Beeswax. That's right. And she tries to mind it, but no go. Or she should have minded it rather. And she's telling him, hey, look, everybody in the caravan is like super hyped about you now. It's really awesome. I've never seen them take to an outsider like this. But then unfortunately, that's where we have a relapse, a turn for the worse in their relationship, because he starts to like ice crystal freeze his own arm. I guess he's healing it. Mm-hmm. And she grabs it for some really ill-advised reason. And then her arm gets ice stuck to his arm. She freaks out and then she gets blown like 16 feet. Mm-hmm. And now she's upset and scared and runs away.
I thought she was going to stand up and be missing a hand. Like her.
If this show was a little more hardcore, she would have.
There's a couple scenes in this episode where I was like, you know what? If this was on HBO Max, we would have seen that.
Oh, the part where Waldrig stabs Rowan? I was upset that it cut to a smash cut of an arrow.
Was that Rowan? I thought that was just a random dude.
I think that was Rowan. It could have been a random dude.
He didn't have as quite of a cunty face as Rowan.
It could, yeah. I thought it would carry more weight.
Oh, it would. But yeah, but this was another one. Like if this was on not Amazon Prime, like she would like hold up her hand. It's like fucking missing. Mortal Kombat death.
And then they'd have a really hard time getting to like him. And then we cut to the dinner, the union between Khazad and Yuldir. Elves in the doors, in case you weren't following, Steve.
I wasn't. I'm glad you specified that.
It's a dinner in Linden, and Celebrimbor's there. And he's like, hello.
Hello. Would someone pass potatoes?
Gil Galad is there, as well as Prince Durin and Elrond. And they're celebrating their peace union, but it doesn't seem like it's going well. There's a really funny moment where Prince Durin pulls a beard snack out and eats it.
It looked like a corn puff or something.
Yeah.
Pulled out of his beard. And
Gil Galad's given Prince Durin the third degree. He's like, you guys are delving deep, perhaps too deep. I'm not sure. We might have to change the name of Khazad-dûm to Moria and never go there. That's what I'm thinking. And Prince Durin's like, mind your business.
While you're doing that, did you guys happen to find anything worth diving deeply for? Wink, nudge, wink. And Celebrimbor's like, it's Mithril. He's asking about that.
Hello. And Prince Durin dodges that and makes up a story about a table like this. How'd you get the stone of this table? This is how we basically saying this is what we use for tombstones only. And Gil Galad says, apologetically, we'll give this. You can take the table back with you. We're very sorry for
our sacrilege.
The sacrilege, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how he dodged the question. And we cut to the next scene. It's like the elf waitresses clearing the table because they're all wearing the same like veils. I thought that was interesting.
These are 9 to 5. All elves have one.
I wonder if they're going to tip them. And this is where we get the confrontation.
Gil Galad does not.
He definitely does not.
He's one of those guys that puts like a pile of singles on the table and is like, for anything you displease me with, I will remove $1 single bill.
Is that what people do? There's people that tip at the beginning and say that?
That's a comedy bit that people would do. I don't know if someone in real life would do that, but yeah, they put like a stack of ones and they're like, oh, this water is
late with the ranch.
$1 bill removed. But conversely, if you do something good, they might add a bill back to it.
Ooh, fair.
Yeah, fair.
Not fair.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the confrontation between Elrond and Gil Galad. And it's this whole plot thread throughout the next 10 minutes I found annoying because it is obvious that they found the Mithril. And
did they find the Mithril? I swore not to tell.
Yeah, if you swore not to tell, your option is only to lie or tell them. Because saying, I swore not to tell just implies that they did. And at one point, he's showing Celebrimbor the Mithril rock. And he says the same thing. I will not break my oath and tell you about the rock that I just showed you. Shit.
Mum's the word.
I mean, I think it's endearing that he's so bad at lying because of his honor, right? Mm-hmm. I like that element of it, but it seemed a little silly that we're going to act like Gil Galad doesn't know. And he does, but like the whole dramatic premise of the next 10 minutes is just kind of fake.
I will ask you again for one final time. Like, buddy, come on.
I want to hear you say it.
That's where you're showing him the tree that has a blight on it.
Yes.
Because at first when they were like, we need the Mithril, and he's like, we need the Mithril because our tree is dying. Because at first we were like, why do they need the Mithril so bad?
I still, not at first, to this very moment, I don't understand why they need the Mithril. So it contains the power of the last of the Silmarils, right? Some kind of the light of the Valar, like the very essence of what it is to be elven and immortal, I guess. And he references the Song of Roots, a song of the roots of Hithegirl. A story that I don't know about an ancient elf fighting a Balrog amidst a tree, right?
And then lightning struck the tree while they were fighting around the tree.
And the tree sent through its roots to the heart of the mountain, an ore that contains the last of the light of the Silmarils. Sure. But how that's going to help the light of the Eldar fading, I don't know, because later it says, I think it's Celebrimbor, like, yes, we tested it. It withstands anything, which is true. Mithril's very strong.
He's also saying the light of it doesn't drain either.
Okay.
So it's a pure source of this energy.
I guess. So there's some kind of energy. It's like midi-chlorians.
Probably. And then the device that Celebrimbor's been building, I would assume is something where they can use that energy source to bask the elves in the glory of the Valar
of the Silmarils.
That way their essence doesn't drain and they essentially die.
And Gil Galad's argument is fuck your oath. This is about elves lasting on Middle Earth. Without us, everybody's going to die, including the dwarves. So it's a small price to pay. And Elrond's stance is, and I like his solution. I did love this plot point where he just runs and goes and tells Durin his plight instead of subverting my expectation of there being a just interminably stupid, like no friend anymore plot where he's going to find out he told his secrets and stuff.
Yeah, I love that too, because a lot of movies and TV shows fall into the pitfall of like, if people would just fucking talk, we could solve this issue. And this was a great example of like, why wouldn't these two talk? Of course they're going to talk, and Elrond's going to be like, hey man, I know I swore this thing, but like, I just found out why we need it. It's because my people are going to die. And he knows Durin's not going to like scoff at that.
Right.
I also did like, another thing I liked about this explanation from Gil-galad was at one point, like Elrond's like, hey, I swore an oath. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to forsake my honor just for hope.
Mere hope.
And Gil-galad's like, hope is never mere, even when it is meager. And I thought like in another context, like Gil-galad would be the hero of this.
That was a good line.
Yeah, it's a very good line, because so many movies are so based on like the idea of hope. You know, we are the spark that will ignite the fire.
Yeah, we were just talking about Andor.
Yeah,
in that it would sit well.
Yeah, and I just love how there is this competing sort of like, I guess no one's really quote unquote a villain in this situation. You know, you can argue like the elf shouldn't be as
good
like
conflict.
Hoity-toity.
Yeah, everybody's got a good perspective on this issue.
This is the sort of conflict that I like in my TV shows, and that's why I love this plot.
I love where it's at. I just wish we had gotten there sooner. That's all.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm with you on that. And we cut to a Númenórean party. Everybody's getting wasted, singing Númenórean songs, excited to go off to war. Isildur pulls Valentil and Antimo aside, and he says, hey, now that you're a lieutenant, will you bring me with you? And the guy says no. After he punches him twice, which is how he's forgiven, but not enough to get him to bring him to Middle Earth. And then we cut to Kemen being a sneaky boy, and he's hopping aboard a ship, and he's letting like flammable oil that they shouldn't be having on the ship pour all everywhere. And he's going to throw a lantern on it. Isildur's in there stowing away, so he catches him in the act. They wrestle the lantern around the flammable liquid. Not a good idea. So it ends up exploding the boat anyway. He saves Kemen's life and swims him to shore.
And he doesn't rat him out.
And then lies for him and says, yeah, hey, he was just out there in a little boat. I don't know why, but it was definitely nothing nefarious. I happened to also be there, saved his life.
You know what I don't know? Why he wouldn't rat him out.
I think
Why doesn't he rat this guy out?
I think he had some, what's the word? Not knowledge, but we'll just go with that. Some like prescience of the fact that if he saved this nobleman's kid's life, that might earn him passage on the Seaguard crew, rather than, hey, I was stowing away illegally and happened to catch him doing something worse. You know what I mean? Like that was not going to earn him a membership on the Seaguard. And so it was a small price to pay to let him get away with that, to be able to like build himself up.
Or maybe he could be like, hey guys, I caught the terrorist. You know?
Yeah, but it's still how?
Well, I was wanting to fight with you guys. Like, I think that could endear him to people, you know?
Maybe, but this was a safer bet in his mind, I guess. It's just a writing thing, but like, how do we not just get Kemen not thrown in jail immediately?
Mm-hmm. And I just don't like this
I buy it.
I just don't like this whole entire plot thread of...
You hate Isildur.
I hate Isildur.
Which I don't blame you. He caused millennia of pain.
I mean,
he's the reason Smeagol had a bad life.
Isildur's not the reason I hate this. I just hate this because I don't like the whole backsliding of, we're going to Middle Earth, psych. We're going to make up this weird drama for Kemen, a character no one cares about.
Yes.
I don't understand why he's even in the show.
I care about Kemen less than Isildur. Especially, he's not right for Arendelle.
No, and he's a made up character. Like he's not in the Silmarillion or anything, like whatever.
And Arendelle deserves better. That's all I'm saying.
She does. I do like how when they're like, what happened? And is it Aaron or Elendil who says, we think it was a passing brigand.
Passing brigand.
You know, those, you got to watch out for them passing brigands.
They're everywhere. And this is where we get to the scene, the little council. I mean, it's Queen Regent Muriel, it's Galadriel, it's Pharazôn, and it's Elendil. And Pharazôn has doubts now. Now he's not thinking about the money anymore. He's like, maybe it is a sign. Maybe it's an ill portent.
Maybe we should slow down and turn the people's hearts. Yes. Towards your cause, my queen.
Because now one of our boats blew up. Everybody's sad. Nobody wants to party anymore. It's sad because we were so drunk.
Now we got to fit 500 people on 3 boats.
Ooh, that's hard to do.
That's a lot.
And we're a very wealthy community, but we didn't have any spare boats. And this is awkward. Now everybody knows. And Muriel even hesitates, and she basically hinges everything upon Halbrand, who she's already been suspicious that he's not actually down to be king in the South anymore. So she says,
not DTF.
Hey, we're going to decide tomorrow morning if we're going to go or not. Make sure Halbrand attends, meaning stop lying. You better get him to agree to do this for show.
Right.
And Galadriel looks upset at that prospect. The scene cuts to Celebrimbor apologizing.
Sorry.
To what's his name? Elrond.
What's his name?
You know.
Oh, what's his name?
And Gilgalad forbade it.
He did say forbade, very funny.
He forbade him.
I forbade it.
Telling Elrond the real plan, but they had always suspected the existence of the Mithril in the mountain. That is why, which doesn't make any sense because it was Elrond who suggested the alliance with the dwarves to build the tower. So they just like knew Elrond would go down that mental path.
Yeah, I guess it's their...
And I don't like how Elrond tells Durin in the next scene because he like puts it all on himself for no reason.
It was me.
I lied to you, though I did not know it. I was really there for the Mithril. Okay, then you didn't lie.
Yeah.
You were also duped.
You were lied to. You are also a victim here.
That's like somebody stealing my money and me telling my wife,
I stole from you.
I stole from us and gave it to a passing brigand.
Against my will.
Honor.
You got to look out for those passing brigands.
I donated to a passing brigand against my will, my dear.
Stole from us.
I knew we couldn't afford it.
Can you ever forbade me?
I did forbade, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, forbade, sorry.
But Celebrimbor is, he apologizes, and I still don't understand how Mithril will help, but he explains it, and then he brings up Elrond's father to make him feel guilty about being in the position of, breaking his oath to Prince Durin. And we cut back to Galadriel and Halbrand. She gives him a rousing speech that's intercut with Waldreg and his biatches bowing to the orcs. And we find out that he has a dark past, something that we assumed. Steve thought he was Sauron, but it looks like maybe he's just done things he's not proud of to survive amongst the orcs.
Or maybe he's Sauron and he's done a lot of things that he is proud of.
Oh, I'm really
lead the orcs. And he's like, if you knew about my secrets, you would forbade me.
You wouldn't. You would forbade me being king. Because I'm Sauron.
You would think I'm being a forbad boy.
Yes, Galadi.
Galadi.
Spank me, Galadi. And we cut to, she has a cool line. She kind of forgives him without knowing what it is that he's done. She says, in order to find the light, sometimes we must first touch the darkness. Mm-hmm. And I like that.
You have to look up, not down. Because if you look down, you're a stone.
And he's like, how do you know darkness? And she's like, my brother died. And so he's, he kind of questions whether her
is this for vengeance?
Yeah, her entire quest. Are you Batman?
Are you? Oh, you took it. I was going to do that.
You can't beat me to Batman. Look at my Batman tattoos. I'm vengeance. And she's like, no, it's definitely not. It's because I feel like I can't stop.
Can't stop.
Really
stop.
Weak explanation, but still, I like it.
She's addicted to the high of vengeance.
She implores Halbrand to make the right decision, gives him back his kingly crest sack that he likes to hang from his neck. I didn't like that either.
You will not find peace here.
You will not. You're not going to just forge stuff and give it to 9 to the men, 3 to the elves, 5 to the dwarves.
At least not here.
And then keep 1. That's not going to happen.
There's an even cooler forge in Middle Earth that you'll find.
They're building it. Hello, I'm building it.
Hello.
We cut to Waldreg begging. Hilarious moment. I should have put this in my old Toby's. I didn't. This was my favorite moment. Just
really.
Waldreg, it's like a fourth wall break. Because he's like, I pledge my loyalty to Sauron. And he gets choked out. And he's like, wait, are you not Sauron?
I'll pledge allegiance to you.
And then he looked at the camera and he's like, because we all thought you were. Wink. But I actually liked it. I thought it was funny. Because,
I think it would have been funnier if Adar would have been like, no, my name's not Halbrand. And then he turned to the camera and did a wink.
Well, it would have been too many layers. I would have got lost in the sauce. But he's not Sauron, at least according to him. And then Waldreg's like, well, fine, I'll be loyal to whoever you are then. just don't want to die.
Yeah.
And then he pulls who I thought was Rowan, but it might just be a rando, and says, a pact must be made in blood, something like that. Basically, stab this boy and you can join us.
Stab this boy, please.
And Waldrick's
only blood can bind.
Very quickly, like, okay. And we assume stabs him, but it cuts away because it's TV-14.
Mm-hmm.
Bummer. Big bummer.
Big bummer.
And we cut to Arendir teaching Theo how to shoot a bow. And Theo's like, I don't want to shoot a bow.
Why are you helping me? I'm just angry all the time.
My mom's so hot.
Theo, it really is the absolute worst.
Well, I like that they did away with the hide the sword plot in this scene.
Yes, you're right. That was
a good choice. That was a subversion of my expectations, just like the Durin telling the truth thing. We glossed over. Did we? Wait, it didn't happen yet, did it? No, it didn't. I'm sorry. That's my other favorite
Stay
moment.
tuned.
I panicked. Ooh, boy. The table scene. It's funny.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, he's like, hey, why be buried with us? You're an elf. Just run away. Like, we're definitely all going to die. And Arendir gives actually a really heartfelt moment and speech where he talks about how, it took me 200 years to get the courage that I have, that you have at 14 years old. That's why I respect you.
Yeah,
that's why I want to stay here. And he's like, yeah, but half of us left. We're shitty people. And he's like, yeah, but half of you stayed. He's a glass half full elf.
He is.
And I like that about Arendir. I thought that was a moving moment. I thought it was a good emotional moment.
Arendir, I like Arendir a lot.
Oh, I love Arendir. Mm-hmm. And this is what makes Theo feel so bad. He's like, you know what?
I got a cool sword. Do you want to see it?
I feel bad. I've been hiding an evil sword from you.
I found it in a barn.
Under a board.
It's Waldrick's. So I probably should have saw it coming that it was like evil and stuff. I don't know.
I think a girl likes me at school.
Shut up. Where's friend? Shut up. Shut up. Don't tell my mom.
That's Theo. It is my mom. And then he shows him the sword, and it's really awkward moment where Arendir's like, I think that's the giant evil statue behind us. Hold up.
That was a little silly because I've seen this before, and then they ripped down all these vines to reveal something ivy we've never seen before. And so it's like, oh, but he has nice.
Because he's an elf, and he's been there long enough for the ivy to grow that thick, for like 60 years.
Oh, so you think that's why? And it's his elf eyes just can't penetrate foliage.
Well, he was showing everyone else like, hey, look at this.
Check this shit out.
Look at this. And they find out
who did that to the wall?
It's a key. It's a key to what we don't know. And then there's this really,
I did like when we were watching this, he rips down the wall and you see the mural. Is that what you would call it?
No, it's like a straight statue. It's etched into the stone.
Okay. Yeah. We see the statue, and then you said, what is that? And then it cuts to him going, it's a key.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
Perfectly timed. We're like,
because they knew that the reveal was a non-reveal. And then there's one of the dumbest lines that I loved, because Bronwyn's losing hope. She's like, actually, you know what? Maybe we should turn ourselves in and just be orc sluts.
Maybe Waldrick was right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
definitely not going to win.
Yeah. He was the only business owner in town. He knew. He knows a good opportunity.
He was a whiz with QuickBooks.
He had the QuickBooks Prime account. He had it all down. He got the W-2s, the I-9s.
Oh my God.
The D-53s.
He's making up random forms now. Blue 42. And so there's this line where they look out at the sea of, campfires, meaning I don't know why the orcs light those. They should be able to see in the darkness, but neither here nor there. It's the army that's approaching them. And she's like, how long do we have? And he goes, I can't even say it without laughing. Who wrote this, spoke this, edited it, and said, good? He goes, days, maybe hours. You're a fucking elf, dude. You can see for miles. How long is it going to take for them to get here, you think?
The maybe hours is what kills me. Like days. Well, maybe hours.
Honestly,
I don't know.
Could be any minute. I can't see.
I really don't know.
Everybody thinks we can see really far. I can't.
I just wanted to look cool.
I don't even know if those are orcs. Those could be fireflies.
They could be.
You know what? We should run. Days, maybe hours. But then he cheers Bronwyn up. That's where they get an idea. Like, she's like, how are we going to fight them? And he's like, honestly, I don't know. I have 13 arrows. We are definitely going to die. And she's like, the tower will fall. And they both have an epiphany at the same moment. And we don't know what it is. Steve and I both joked, they're going to push the tower over on them. Yeah. I don't get it, but maybe I think some form of that is their plan.
Well, they're going to march up a hill in a single file and then they'll just roll the tower down and take them all out because they'll run in the
or they're going to let them get to the wall and just somehow knock it over on top of a large number of them. And they're going to hold out for just long enough until the moment of hope is all lost. And then the Numenorians are going to show up.
Right.
Because that's how you do it.
The light of the first day.
Yeah, it's going to be Helm's Deep all over again. And we cut back to Adar and the orcs marching briefly. And then we cut back to Durin. A really, really awesome moment. Steve and I both burst out laughing.
This was so good.
Where they're carrying the table back to Khazad-dûm and Durin's like, I lied about the table. And Elrond's not even mad. He's just like, my silly, sneaky dwarf friend.
Disa's been wanting a new table for years.
Yeah. But then Elrond's like, it's not the table's weight that weighs me down. It's all of my lies. And
give me the meat and give it to me raw.
Durin gives the best idiom ever. Give me the meat and give it to me raw. Which I agree. That's how I like it.
Raw and wiggling.
And then that's where he tells him the meat. He says the entire elven race is in your hands, Durin. And Durin makes him say that like 3 times, which is another. God, it was such a good moment.
Whose hands? And he says it again. And just that little smirk was like, all right.
Interesting. Because the entire elven race being in Prince Durin's hands, he likes that feeling.
That rattles his dags.
And he says, don't thank me yet. I still got to convince my father, which seems like that would be a very tall order. The interactions we've seen with Prince and King Durin.
Yeah, King Durin doesn't seem like he'd probably see the sign of the elves going extinct as a good thing.
They have the same name, but very different dispositions.
Very.
The Durins.
Very.
Then he says, the sunlight's giving me a sour stomach, which I like because he's mostly underground. So that's funny. That was funny.
One condition. Tell Disa the table is for me.
Yeah.
Don't push your luck, elf. I love these two.
Those two. I want a buddy cop movie with just those two. And that's what we needed. A smaller scale, just like, you know what I mean? If we had focused the entire, it doesn't matter. I didn't write it. Who cares what I think? We cut back before we cut though, we get to see like an elf. I think Steve was taking notes and I
missed this, but you saw it.
I think it was like an emissary, not an emissary, like an employee, if you will, of Gil-galad.
One of the elf waitresses?
Yes. Watching them, spying upon them. So it led me to believe that we're probably going to get a betrayal of Elrond and a betrayal of Durin on the behalf of Gil-galad. Even though Durin's going to try to give them all their mithril if they need it to survive, he's going to fuck it up and try to fuck the dwarves over before that happens. That's my regretfully sad.
It's a tale as old as
theory.
time.
It is.
Elves fucking over dwarves. Dwarves being stubborn about it.
Hopefully after they carve melon on the door.
Melon. Speak, friend, and enter. Melon.
We cut to Halbrand.
So I've been thinking about this. Okay. This is a complete divergence from the show. I've been having this
Different
thought and I haven't been able to put it into words. We've been trying to come up with a name for the podcast listeners, the fans of the show.
Melons.
And I've been thinking of calling them the Melons.
That's a deep cut reference to Lord of the Rings.
It is a deep cut.
I don't hate it.
I like it.
Write into streamingthingspod@gmail.com or tweet us at streamingthingpod is our Twitter, or you can actually become a patron by going to patreon.com/streamingthings. Become a melon at a variety of different tiers. You get a bunch of rewards like access to the Discord, bonus episodes, potentially merchandise if you go high enough. We'll send you shirts and hats and mugs, whatever you need. What?
I'm just impressed at your segue into
fucking fire.
Oh my God. Yeah, write in if you guys have an idea of what we should call fans of streaming things.
But we're going with melons right now.
Our melons.
You convinced me.
Where my melons at?
I could write a whole rap song about our melons.
Please do it right now.
None of them are felons. Some of them might be, but we forgive them. Sometimes you have to touch darkness.
Speak, friend, and enter.
Enter me. Wait.
What? No. We're not those type of melons.
Speak, friend, and enter me, Galaddy. And then we got to Halbrand looking sexy. He's got armor now. Who made him that armor?
Oh, it looks great. He looks like a Tully. He's got his armor has looks like fish scales.
Had a little fish on it.
Yeah.
Had a little fish on it. Yeah, he looked really good. He's fully embraced. There's this like psych out that worked on me where he like sets his like king sack on the table and leaves. And then he comes back and swipes it. Like, never mind. I'm going to Middle Earth.
I wish you guys were in the room with us when this happened.
Yes, we should have done a watch
This
party.
moment should not have worked as well as it did in the room.
On me.
Because he throws the necklace down and Chris kind of goes like, oh, he's not going to help him out. And then the hand comes back and swipes it. He's like, psych, yeah.
Yes, he is. I even fist pumped.
He did.
I don't know why. It worked on me, baby. And then what do I have? Elendil's. Oh, Arendelle. The sister is very sad to see them go. They have like a happy war procession.
People are throwing flowers.
You know how
in their
young
faces.
men are off to for glory, and they don't understand war is hell yet. They haven't seen Apocalypse Now. Mm-hmm. The terror, the horror. And then there's we find out they accuse him of nepotism. His friends.
Your dad got you back on the ship, huh?
Antimo and Valentio are like, oh, your dad got you another, spot on the boat again. And then they find out he's actually a stable sweeper. He's got to shovel shit. That makes them happy. They hug. Then we get a extended sequence of Galadriel looking hot in her armor, boarding the boat. There's the music, the wind whooshes.
Oh my
We
gosh.
found that out from the captions.
That captions was so stupid. So if you didn't have the captions on, Galadriel comes onto the boat. It's this beauty hero shot. She's in her armor. She's looking fire as shit.
Majestic. The vista's beautiful.
The music is swelling and the captions come up with wind whooshing.
Wind whooshing.
Now, listener, in this moment, there was no wind whooshing. It was just the soundtrack, as if they were to say, hey, some people might be confused why her hair is blowing. The wind is whooshing.
Wind's a whooshing.
There's not like a spell happening.
The caption should have
no one's
said
breathing on
music
her aggressively.
swells.
It should have said music swells, but it said wind whooshing. And I just was like, that was dumb.
Dear caption writer of Rings of Power, suck it. Sincerely, Steve.
Suck it, yes.
And that's the end of the episode. And they're all, I'm on a boat, motherfucker. And they're all going out to Middle Earth. This time for realsies.
For real, we're on the boat now. We're going.
Episode 6 for sure.
Seriously, the next episode.
It's going to be a bottle episode of the Harfoots and you're going to lose your mind.
I'd be okay with that if it was just the Harfoots. Now, if the next episode ends and they're like on the boat and it was a bottle episode on the fucking boat.
Oh, you would lose your mind if it was just a seal door shoveling shit.
Kemen somehow turns the boats around and then they're like wrestling the wheel from them. And then it ends with Isildur like, we have to go west. and then they're like, we're going. And it ends with them another triumphant. We're going on a quest. I would be like, fucking shoot my face.
I don't think you can go west. West is Valinor.
I know, but he wants to go west.
No, I know, but I'm saying actually now that I think about it, he's got a jacked up plan. He's trying to go to like the forbidden land of heaven.
Well, I mean,
The forbidden land of heaven.
it's Isildur.
Isildur.
More like Isildur.
Now it's time for our second breakfast segment where we talk about some Easter eggs, lore tidbits, references to Lord of the Rings, the movies, whatever we can find. And it's probably sparse today. Steve, do you have any?
I have
Second breakfast.
1.5. They happen the exact same time.
Okay.
It was when Gil-galad is telling the story. Well, what do you call that story with the Balrog and the elf fighting in the
It
tree?
is the Song of the Roots of Hithagro.
Yes. So it's when they're doing that story. Did you notice that Balrog in there? That's
Balrog, amazing.
Balrog, yeah, it looked great.
And
Looked cool.
that elf was like, you shall not pass this tree.
And then the lightning strikes a tree, and then it like becomes for a second just the white tree of Gondor sigil. Like
True.
in the light. And I thought that was like, I know that reference.
Two good pulls, my friend.
Thank you. What about you?
They mentioned Manwë at one point in this story, and that's a Valar, but he's the king of the Valar. His insignia, or his title listing is actually kind of funny if you look it up. He is one of the Aratar, leader of the Aenor, king of Valar. And that's what I hate about Tolkien in one little sentence. Like, why is there so many things? He's king of the Valar. Like, that made sense to me from a lore perspective. But you went too deep, man. You went too deep.
But you're okay with Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, first of his name, Lord of the End.
That all makes sense geographically. And maybe this does too. And it's just the difference of I actually know that deep amount of stuff about, the Westerosi lore. And I don't know this much stuff about Lord of the Rings. But I don't know what Aenor are. And I've been studying this stuff for 2 decades off and on. I don't know what Aratars are. I know what Valar is. Mm-hmm. So King of Valar was like, oh, cool. What are these other things? But anyway, that's what Manwë is. And then
he's no Lord of Kisses. That's all I'm saying.
no, he's not. And then we cut. No, we don't cut to. I got him fucking lost in my recap.
We're not in the recap anymore, Chris.
We cut to my other second breakfast. And they call Elrond Paradel. His last name Paradel is Sindarin for half elf, which everybody knows it's Elrond the half elf because he has human ancestors. But that's what Paradel is. It's an elf word for half elf.
Oh, okay.
And so that's the explanation for his name. And then our next segment is Old Toby's, where we find our three finest scenes in the South Farthing, our favorite moments of the episode. Steve, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is the very beginning, and that is the Harfoots on the March. That is when...
That is fuck.
Do you want that on your list too?
No.
No, I really like
It's
the
a good
scene.
moment.
It's a good moment. It's very...
Talking about the montage song or the moment with her and the stranger?
Mostly the montage.
Okay, good.
But just kind of like you can go from her and the stranger through the montage. And
No, that's cheating.
it's true. But definitely when they kind of start like time to go.
My favorite moment is Act 1.
My favorite moment is just the full episode. But I like the montage. It's very Lord of the Rings. We get the maps, we get the song, and it's a really, really good song. Poppy singing. It's,
I'm going to bop that on the way home.
yeah, I think it is a contender to be just as good as Pippin's song from Return of the King.
Ooh, that's...
Sing me a song.
I don't think that has the same emotional weight whatsoever.
Well, because the
Melodically, maybe.
Yeah, I think as a song, yes, but as driving the narrative, because what they're doing isn't nowhere near as emotionally impactful as Faramir leading, going Osgiliath. Is that where they go? Is that the name of the town?
I believe so. Yes.
But I thought this was great, and just seeing like a big tall person behind a bunch of halflings is like that's and
Find the halflings.
Sweeping wide shots, like very very Lord of the Rings, very cool, and it just hit me in the feels. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was a fellowshipy moment. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're going to bop to that on the way home, or Sam Smith's new song "Unholy," which is also a bop.
Oh, okay. Brought to you by Sam Smith. This episode of Streaming Things.
I just thought you should know that. Okay. My number 3 is the moment with Arendir and Theo, believe it or not, where he talks about how half...
Oh, you would put me at number 3.
He talks about half of them have stayed, right? I was very moved by that. I love the character of Arendir. I can't wait to see him fucking kick ass in episode 6, unless it's a bottle episode of Isildur. And yeah, that's my number 3. Steve, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Galadriel taking boys to school with the sword fight. Her really epic sword fight duel.
It's my number 2 as well.
It was really well done. I thought it was very well choreographed.
Yeah.
The way she's like moving
Parts
around
of it were
everybody.
kind of overly whimsical, but in a way that I kind of liked as well. Like it reminded me of like Rufio sword fighting Robin Williams and Hook for like pieces of it.
Yeah.
And then some of it was like a dance, which I also like because that's her whole point is that sword fighting is balance, not strength.
Fight with your feet, not your
like
arms.
soccer. And they're like, what is soccer? And she's like, oh, my bad, football. And I forgot you call that football in Numenor.
Oh, yeah. No, it was great. Like you said, the choreography is a little whimsical, but I think that fits with this world.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
She's an elf that's fleet of foot. Fleet of foot. And so it just works. And just seeing her at one point, there's like, 5 people going after her. And she's
more than that, I think. But yeah, she steals one of their swords and
she keeps like stealing her swords and giving them back and then stealing them again.
Yeah. I mean, she's just light years ahead of their skill.
The dude that ended up cutting her and
Valentil,
he ends up cutting her. He ends up getting promoted, but he also was like technically killed by her like maybe 30 odd times.
Oh yeah. He would in a real fight, nobody touches her.
Yeah.
Because she's being nice and letting them live and giving their swords back, he eventually does cut her. I love that moment. I'm with you. Number 2, like I said, I'm craving Galadriel showing off her skills. I love elves fighting. I love that first scene in the first episode where she's fighting the troll. I can't wait to see her mow down some orcs and then maybe run into Arendir and we get a like elf reunion here. Maybe she knows who that is. I don't know. I'm excited. I'd like to see that.
Yes, please.
And it'd be really cool if he was like in awe of her because he doesn't like she's a legend among his people kind of thing. Oh my
God, that's Galadriel?
What?
The leader of the armies?
That's Galaddy? That's the last time in this episode.
Making Galaddy a thing. It's not going to be a thing.
I think it is. She's hot.
It's fetch.
Number 1. What's your number 1?
My number 1, surprise, surprise. It's Durin and Elrond working together. I love that scene. I love the
table joke.
the table joke is in there.
That's my number one as well. Holy shit.
That whole scene of the table joke and then them actually subverting expectations. Like, hey, we got a real problem. We're being friends. Let's talk this out like friends. And then Duran does his cheeky little, the fate of the elves are in whose hands? Oh,
that's the best part.
Sounds pretty cool to me.
Sounds like a dwarf.
Come on, buddy. Let's go get your minerals. This sun's making my tummy turn sour. Like,
Give me a sour stomach.
I love the two of them together. And I really think that, what's the gentleman's name who plays Duran?
Owen Arthur.
We've talked we've talked about how
sung
much
his
we love him
praises
so
many
much.
times. Yes.
And then, Robert Aramayo, the guy who plays Elrond, he's really growing on me as Elrond as the show kind of
progresses. I mean,
progresses.
he's not my idea of a young Elrond, but isolated from my memory of Hugo Weaving, he's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's coming into his own and he has really good chemistry, the two of them. And just any scene with the two of them I'm like, yes, more of that.
Who are you going to pick for your one performance to rule them all this episode?
Are we there? Are we at that segment?
Yeah, my number one's the same scene.
Oh, you didn't have anything to add on to it though?
I mean, we gushed about it. It's fucking Prince Duran is carrying this show along with Galadriel. I'll just say that's what I'll call her respectfully, Galadriel. And I love Arendir, but we don't get enough of the good parts of those folks yet. And don't worry, the season's almost over. But everything that we get of Prince Duran is just top notch. Mm-hmm. You know, it's endearing. It's everything that you want. But it's really funny. But it's also there's a ton of heart in everything that he says. And even this moment, it works so well. It's so funny because everything that's come before this has tied us to this character. We feel like we know him. We care about him. And when that moment happens, you're like, oh, classic Prince Duran.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And like that's why it works so well.
Yeah.
If it was like the first scene of a character, that wouldn't be funny.
Right.
Anywho, yeah. So what's your favorite performance? Are we going to have to give it to Owen Arthur again?
So I struggled giving it between him and one other person. And I ended up giving it to the other person because I've already given it to Owen Arthur. I'm
Theo.
Why would anybody give it to me? I've got a cool blood sword. I'm going to my room.
We don't have one.
No, I'm giving it to Robert Aramayo. Plays
Elrond.
Yeah. I liked kind of the position that his character was put in this episode. And he was kind of struggling with betraying his oath and just, his chemistry with Owen Arthur has been so wonderful to watch. And I just love the two of them together. And really, this was the first episode where, I haven't disliked him as Elrond this whole time. I've just kind of been like, oh, he's doing an Elrond. All right. This was the first episode where I was like, yeah, I like him in this role. Like you said, he's not my perfect vision of what Elrond is, but like you said, getting the Hugo Weaving of it all out of there. I do like what he's doing with his character and how he's portraying it. So I'm going to give it to him.
I agree with you. I think that's a sound decision. However, and you're going to hate me for this.
You're giving it to Theo?
I'm giving it to Galaddy.
Why would I hate you for that?
Because I said it again.
Well, I do hate Galaddy.
Morvith Clark.
She deserves it.
And she doesn't even get much to do, but what she is given, she goes 120% with.
True.
And like if she was on a football team, they would say, way to give it 110%, which isn't a number that exists, but that's what they say in sports. And they would say that about her.
110% exists?
Yeah. And like math. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Oh, you mean these numbers exist in mathematics?
Mathematically, that number exists. But I meant I guess what I meant by that is you can't fill a glass up more than 100%, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah. That's what I meant, but it sounded really dumb and I'm going to move on from it right now. But what little she is given, she just crushes. And I think the sparring scene, she really, I don't know how much choreography work she did, but it really looked like she was an elf the way that, what's his name? Orlando Bloom. Just looked really fleet of foot. You know what I mean? Looked like he was walking on snow. Like he was looking at things with his elf eyes. Mm-hmm. And I really get the impression when she walks around that she's been alive for thousands of years. And again, she's not given much to do, but she just carries herself that way. In this austere royal manner, like when she hops on the boat at the end. Now the Bear McCreary's score is doing some heavy lifting there, the lighting and the wind whooshing, doing a lot of lifting there, but just the way she carries herself, it's very majestic. Right. And I think, I don't think she's been able to shine like this in a couple of episodes the way that she did in this episode.
Well, even her scene with Halbrand where she's like, I don't know how to stop. Like, I think she was really
and that was
kind
a
of
great monologue. You know, like I think that the reason they tried to exile me was because they couldn't quite tell the difference between me and the evil I was chasing anymore. And she, I think, has a little bit of, I got the impression she's a little bit scared of it herself. And so it's so important to her to find and kill Sauron just so that she can see the difference between her and he. And that's compelling. That's really good inner conflict. And Morpeth Clark crushed it.
Yeah, you're
Everybody
right.
watch Saint Maud.
100%. I agree with that. Take it all. Now I'm kind of like, man, I should have given it to her.
I thought the same thing. Like, you really sold me on Elrond, buddy. So, hey, don't worry. Let's swap.
Let's pat ourselves on the back.
I think that's all the time we have. We are looking forward to episode 6 a lot. I think the last 3 episodes, my theory, are going to be engrossing, damn good television. And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, so make sure you guys continue writing in to the email. We are going to do a mailbag post.
Yeah, we'll do a post, both shows, maybe another dual one, maybe a separate 2 mailbags. I'm not, depending on how many emails we get for each show.
Yeah.
But there will be more mailbag episodes. Thank you to everybody who wrote in for the last one. We always stockpile emails for the very next mailbag. We're also covering Labyrinth for the Patreon feed. Patrons only will hear our deep dive of Labyrinth, the 1980s movie, very soon with David Bowie.
Very soon, we're going to drop our not a deep dive, but a general review of the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Andor on Disney Plus. And if you guys like that type of content and you want to do more, we will start doing deep dives of Andor as it starts weekly releasing.
Or shallow dives of more stuff is a possibility as well.
Yeah.
It's your show. We're just living in it, guys.
Right.
But there's also an episode with a patron being a guest host with us talking about the movie Whiplash coming out very soon. So those are all things to look forward to.
And also one last thing, be sure to write in and let us know what you think the fans, what you guys should be collectively called of streaming things.
Yeah. Like,
is it melons? Is it streamies?
We're thinking like Justin Bieber fans, believers, right? Streamies sounds a little weird. So
That sounds like an award.
That's
like our end of year award.
We should do like an end of year episode where we give the streamies to some. Yeah, that's cool. But melons, it's leading the pack as the only idea right now.
But if you guys have a separate idea that you think would be good, write it in. We'd love to hear it.
I'd love to hear it. That's all the time we have right now. My name is Chris.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Streaming Things. Happy streaming, melons. Patron shout out. Thank you for your patronage.
You have a beautiful voice.
I don't think I do.
Aw.
It's pretty good.
Don't be so hard on yourself, buddy.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 would smash. Well, we're doing patron shout outs differently this time, guys. We're going to do them once a month, and this recording will last the entire month. But in this month, we will go over the new patrons that sign up for the month and also the patrons who upgraded their tiers that month as well. Are you excited to find out the cool people that did such a thing?
I'm very excited.
All right. So let me introduce to you our brand new patrons for the Try Before You Deny tier. It's Aaron Layton and Crystal Trujillo.
Woo!
Hi, friends.
In the Marty P VIP tier, it's Josh and Anna.
Marty B.
What did I say?
Marty P.
Oh, Marty B, excuse me. How fucking dare you? I've been here for how long and you don't know my name.
The entire time, sir.
You've given me a terrible wound.
What if Marty B's like a Marty P, man?
Well, our new chocolate pudding producers, we have Alex Fisher, Brittany Deck, and Versyko. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm surely not.
Probably not, man.
Jen
That's
L, Jess R, Mandy Spears, Shannon Myers, and Zach Suthers. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, friends.
Thanks, muchachos.
And our final new patron in the Friends Don't Lie tier, we have Colin P. Frost. Thank you, Colleen.
Another P, man.
Thank you so much. Now we go into the upgrades.
That's the road less traveled, man.
These are the people that gave us money before and we thought, hey, what about more money for these guys? Because they're just so giving and full of mirth, all of it. These people upgraded to the Try Before You Deny tier.
Try before you deny, man.
Andrew Gray, Jen Robinson, Casey McCain, John Collins, Kalisha Reeves, Kate, Kiki, and Will Nash. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And then these people upgraded to the Marty B VIP section. Thank you, A. Wells, Adam Horn, Adam Raymond, Arcade Shenanigans, Barb, Caleb Jeter, Carmelita Valdez McCoy. I love saying your name fully, Carmelita, because it's so cool. Chloe Richardson, Cindy Miller Ray, Elizabeth Hubbard, Enza, Jimmy Gadd, John Madden, like the John Madden. Isn't he dead?
Yes.
Well,
We thought.
Dead. But he's on the cover of Madden 23.
and now he's here to write X's and circles over footage of football players. Thank you, Jadinglage. Thank you, Jadinglage Morgus. Thank you, Katie Blair, Kayla Higgins. It's just me, the French Oak. Thank you, Lisa L, Marcus Mills, Michelle Moore, Nick Nolte, Nicole Cassis, Paula Garcia, Sean Callahan, Stephanie Pagalis, Suzanne Rode, and Sydney Day. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
And good night.